When you think of Jamaica, you probably hear Bob Marley and steel drums in your head. But Hilarie and I, we hear wedding bells.
You're listening to Travel FOMO, a podcast for people self-diagnosed with wanderlust.
Welcome to the Travel FOMO podcast. This is Jamin and I am here to tell you about the day that I married my co-host, Hilarie.
Me! Let's talk about it.
We're right in the middle of our beaches season 4, and today's episode, without a doubt, one of our most memorable beach vacations, where we got married.
That's right. So we decided that we wanted to do a destination wedding.
Yep.
And we opted to also, we wanted to go on a cruise, so we kind of packed it all into one thing. And it was just the two of us.
Yep.
And we, kind of our first stop was Jamaica, where we got married, Montego Bay. And then we went on to Cayman Islands and Cozumel, Mexico.
Yep.
And people can hear a little bit more about that in future episodes. Yeah. But this was, this was in March. It was just the two of us. So people always ask, like, okay, wait, you did a destination wedding. What was that like? What did that look like? Well, for us, it was pretty much eloping.
Right. Yeah. It was just the
two
of us.
Yeah. So we went off. We did celebrate with family. And technically, we kind of have two wedding dates because we always joke about this. We got married technically in front of family, kind of in a bon voyage celebration right before we left out on our trip.
Right.
And signed papers. And I say that because I didn't know it mattered so much until my grandma always brought it up every time she saw me, that she was so happy that we signed papers in front of her. And I was like, okay, I'm really glad we did that. And I think it meant a lot to friends and family, and it meant a lot to us to get to celebrate with them. And so that was really fun. And yeah,
it was fun. We had a little send-off party and got legally married there in front of our immediate family, and had a send-off. Our solution to finding a simpler way to do a wedding was to have two.
True. And it's so funny because people who know me, they're like, that does not sound like you, Hilarie. And it's not. But it is what it looks like when two people who are total opposites decide to get married. We meet in the middle. And so while I would normally get married in a big castle with 500 people there, we just decided to go somewhere in the middle. And you would have probably gotten married. What would have been your dream scenario?
A dream scenario? I don't know. As a little boy, I didn't really grow up dreaming about my wedding, but I was budget conscious, especially back then.
Oh, okay.
There wasn't a lot of cash flowing around back then.
Got it. Okay. So no big wedding was in his plans. Huge wedding was in my plans, and we met in the middle. We kind of celebrated with family, and then we went off and did something privately together, which was a lot of fun. And we always, when it comes down to it, I feel like we're always on the same page when it comes to paying for travel. We're like, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. I think paying for an experience is really high on our list as opposed to stuff.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. We got married in March. So the first few days, we headed out from Galveston, Texas.
Yep.
And the first few days at sea were really pretty chilly.
I was kind of surprised by that. I think it's one of those things that when it happens in the moment, you're like, oh yeah, this makes sense. It's going to take us a while to get far enough south for the weather to be really nice. But in your head, you're thinking no, I walk off the dock and onto the boat and suddenly
the sun comes
up.
up.
Suddenly it's like we're in the Caribbean.
We saw the pictures.
Yeah, we looked at all the brochures.
Gosh. Yeah, so that was really surprising to me, especially how windy it was. The days out at sea weren't what you thought they were going to be. You thought you could sit out by the pool or something, and it wasn't quite like that.
No, it was pretty windy and, like you said, a little chilly.
Yeah, and it was our first cruise, so we were learning a lot along the way. So, and then Yeah, so Jamaica, Montego Bay, was really our first port along the journey. And man, when we pulled up, like it was like, wow, this is great.
I did love that about the cruise, like coming into the destinations and seeing it from a ways off. We got a room with a balcony, which we would highly recommend.
Highly
Like
recommend.
that was awesome. And so every time we would come into port, we would go out on our balcony and essentially you see the island kind of grow in the distance, and then you're coming into port and you're seeing all of it. It's a great way to arrive,
Yeah. Yeah.
especially to a tropical destination, I feel like.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we were like, I was really surprised by the scenery. I was surprised by the mountains. I guess I just didn't think of Jamaica being like so mountainous and
I didn't
pretty.
either. Like I hadn't really thought about it, but I was surprised too. Like there's just a lot there, and it's so green, and just a tropical place like that. It was really cool. I'd never seen anything like that. It was my first time to leave the country.
That's
Actually,
right.
was that
Oh,
trip.
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I'd never been anywhere outside of the U.S. and not very many places in the U.S. But so it was really cool to come into a port like that and see it that way.
Yeah. Was it a culture shock? And I mean, it was for me, because I'd never been to Jamaica. So I was like, oh, that's crazy. But if you've never been kind of immersed in another culture, that's kind of a first time experience too.
I think it was the stark contrast between like this is a tourist thing and it's really nice and like pretty and polished, and then when you're driving you're seeing other stuff that you're like, oh wow, these people don't have very much, and like the stark contrast between the two and how they would be right next to each other, I think was a bit of a culture shock. Is there something you know about that revolutionizes the way you travel? Can it solve problems and help people around the roadblocks on their adventures? Is it just plain cool? If you have a product like that, we'd love to tell people about it. Get in contact with us, and maybe next time we'll be talking about your product right now.
Okay, so we had like a wedding ceremony. We had like a photo shoot. The first thing, did we start out? Remind me, like, did we start out with a photo shoot on the boat?
Yes, yeah. So it was part of the wedding package was a photographer that would go with you and take all the pictures, and was really great. But I didn't realize that we would start out taking pictures like on the ship.
Yeah.
And it was kind of funny because we started out with what felt like getting our senior picture taken in front of like
with a gray backdrop.
Yeah, you like
and...
different backdrops and like inside a room, like with different backdrops, and doing all the cheesy prom poses and all
very
of that stuff.
Classic
and
old school photography.
Yeah, and it's crazy because when we did that, I was like, why are we doing this?
Yeah,
we're not going to want
we will not use
any of these pictures. And we didn't want any of those pictures, but our parents did. Like
that's true. Our parents really like those photos the most.
They were like picking those studio photos out. I'm surprised that we didn't have like our names in blocks with like lasers behind us or something. But then we finally got out of like the little studio thing. We went up on the deck of the boat and took some pictures. I really liked some of those, like of us on the deck of the boat, and everybody is disembarking, so there's kind of nobody else up there. It was just the two of us and Jamaica in the background, and those were kind of cool. But then, wasn't his name Lau? Our little photographer, and he was super nice.
Yeah, he was
like really friendly, really good at his job, and so he was like our buddy for the day that would like follow behind us, like taking pictures, which was kind of strange too, like that it was that much of the experience. I expected it when we got to like the beach and our ceremony and stuff. I expected the photographer there, but not like all the way, and he's riding in the cab with us or in the like little van with us and everything. But he he was there and did a great job. It was a lot of fun. They took us to a private beach to do the ceremony, and we got a driver to drive us for the day. And so it was all arranged. They had champagne for us and the cake and like the minister and everything. It was all taken care of, which was really nice, that we just kind of had to get dressed and
Show up
and go do it.
Yeah.
But I remember getting in that cab, or I say cab, it was more like an SUV kind of thing, and it was nice, and the driver was really nice, but being on the wrong side of the road and like looking in the wrong places and all that, and kind of being freaked out by that, and looking around and seeing like the neighborhoods and stuff like that. And then you've got this really nice resort, and then you've got a shack with like a tin roof that you can
tin walls.
Yeah, and you can see all the way through it.
Yeah. And
thinking like, man, a lot of these people really don't have much, and it's such a contrast to something like right across the street, this really nice resort.
Yeah, it was really sobering to that drive from the cruise ship to the resort, where to the beach. We say resort. It wasn't a resort. It was a beach beside a resort.
Right.
And it was really sobering to see the homes. I was just like, oh, nobody tells you that. They just talk about these amazing beaches and like the drinks and like all the fun stuff, and you never hear about the intense poverty. Or the crazy driving.
Yeah, it was.
You mentioned the wrong side of the road, but for people who haven't been to Jamaica, they don't really know what you mean by that.
Yes, so they drive on the left side of the road, as opposed to in the U.S. we drive on the right, and so steering wheel is on the right side, and they drive on the left side of the road, and so instinctually, when it's like being in England, like instinctually you look in different places. So even when you're not driving, you're watching for traffic and you're looking and you're seeing, especially on left-hand turns, because in the U.S. we make a right-hand turn and you just, you look for traffic. If there's nobody coming, you can take that right-hand turn. And so it happens kind of quick. And so if you think of that, like they do the same thing only with left-hand turns. For us, like I'm looking for traffic and I see traffic coming, and then like we're taking this left-hand turn, and every time I was like, we're going to get hit. And then like, oh, we're going to the other side of the road. That's fine. That person's not going to impact us at all.
Yeah.
But it happened over and over again that I finally just had to stop watching. Yeah. And like just look out the window, straight out the side, and just hope for the best.
That's funny. I had forgotten. I remembered how the driving was crazy in general, but I'd forgotten about them driving on the left side of the road. Yeah, that's crazy. Well, so our wedding ceremony itself, I mean, it was just the two of us. It was on a beach right next to a sandals resort. We basically did everything you said. We did vows, they had cake, pictures. We got to take the cake with us. So we basically had wedding cake like all week long on the ship.
Yeah, we did.
Which is really fun.
Yeah.
And then it was really windy. I do remember that. And we did a lot of photos there on the beach, photos on a little dock out there, which we loved, and no family member necessarily wanted to frame any of those photos. I don't know why.
Yeah, those were definitely our favorite photos, but none of those got picked for the like, hey, which photo would you like?
Would you like to hang on the wall? Yeah.
So we picked and printed some of those, but none of the family.
Yeah, that's true. So then after the wedding was a lot of fun too. That was probably my favorite part.
So the shuttle SUV cab, whatever you want to call it, that took us to the beach. Then after the ceremony, took us back to the boat, and they were like, the vehicle is yours for the day. So the driver is yours. And so it took us back to the boat, and we changed clothes and put on like beach attire and came back. And I wish that we had kind of like researched a little more, because I don't think we knew where we wanted to go. So we were just like, hey,
that was crazy.
yeah, I guess let's just go. And so we go to Margaritaville.
Yeah.
And which was really cool. And it was right on the ocean. I remember we had some jerk wings.
Because we'd only ever been to Margaritaville restaurants, but never to like one
Right.
on an actual beach.
Right.
So we were like, yeah.
Yeah, it looked amazing. It was like 2 or 3 stories. And we got some wings. And there's a big slide on the second floor, which is where our table was. And I think we like ate the wings as fast as we could just so that we could go down the slide.
Yeah.
And so, big slide right into the ocean. I had never experienced the ocean like that. The water was so clear and so pretty. I remember like there's a dock that went out, and then I looked down, and I remember I could see like a Red Bull can that someone had dropped, and it was like down there.
Shame on them.
Yeah, was down there. I could see it on the bottom. And so I'm like, oh, this water can't be very deep. And so I jumped in thinking like, I'm going to like go about up to my waist, and then I'm going to land, and I'm going to like wade further out into the water. No, I went down like, I don't know how deep it was, but I went down and never hit the bottom.
Wow.
And swam up, and I had never seen water that clear. I'm like grew up in Oklahoma, so I'm used to like dirty lakes that you can't see if it's more than like a foot deep. And like I'd been to a couple of beaches in the US, but nothing even close to anything like that. And I remember I was amazed by it. And there was a big, like one of those big blow up trampolines out there.
That was a highlight for me, too.
Yeah.
I think the slide was my favorite, though. It was fun, though.
It was a lot of fun. I mean, we just acted like kids, and then like would come up and like get a rum runner and some more wings, and then like do it again.
I literally remember standing there in my wet swimsuit eating a wing at the bar. Like, it's so funny. And it's just, it did feel like completely laid back. We had nobody we had to make happy except for ourselves. And we just got to like be like, we just got married.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a ton of fun. And do you remember like there were all those crabs like on the rocks?
Yeah.
Like there were tons of crabs. I'd never seen anything like that either.
Yeah.
It was kind of cool. And then we just we went around and shopped a little bit. We bought some rum, some like Appleton rum, some nice rum.
Appleton Estate. I actually, for some reason, we bought some again recently. I don't remember why, but I'm actually sipping on some right now.
Oh, we've got some right now.
Got some
Full
right
circle.
Trying to, just get in the mood for the conversation. Yeah, a lot of rum drinks too, which I'm not a huge like sweet rum drinker,
right?
Frozen drink kind of person.
Me either.
But we were like, yeah, because you could get them in the colors of the Jamaican flag. They had all kinds of fun drinks there at the dock too. Like as soon as you knew you were in Jamaica. There was music, drinks, all kinds of stuff for you. And even as we were getting back on the boat at the end of the day, it was a lot of fun stuff like that. So.
Yeah, it was really cool, very festive, and it was a great day. Like, and we were both so happy and excited to just be married and like finally be at our first stop on the cruise and like all of it. It was just a great day. Yeah,
it was a good day. And then we were like back to having dinner on the ship that night, which is one of our favorite things about traveling on a cruise. And this is the only one we've ever been on, was this one.
Right.
You get to sleep in the same bed every night. You're not packing and unpacking, but you get to go to different countries.
Yeah, seeing a new place each day was a lot of fun, especially without like you said, you're not packing up and moving and worrying about all the logistics of travel. You're just getting to like go to bed and then wake up somewhere new. Which was really cool. I really enjoyed that, and I'd like to do another cruise at some point, just to experience that again. But it was awesome, especially for our first international trip together, to get to go to 3 countries and do it in a really safe, controlled, easy way.
Yes, true. Yes, safe as well. Okay, so question for you. The cab could have taken us anywhere. And knowing what you know now, and we're different now. So we're different people. We were
Yeah.
Margaritaville people at the time. We're not those people anymore.
Right.
But where would you ask them to take you today?
That's a good question. I would probably ask them where they like to go to eat, and ask them to take me there. Just to like get to really experience something local and something truly authentic, and get to see a little of that side of it. I think would be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
What
I would
about you?
totally do the same. Yeah, I would definitely. So I'm big on showing up to a restaurant, and when they ask me what I want, I go, I don't know, what's your favorite thing on the menu? Because I love to be surprised. I know there's so much I don't know, and I want to be told. So I want to learn. I want to find it out. And so I would totally do the same thing as you. I would start talking to that cab driver even more, and just get him to, I don't know, take me to your house. Like, I don't know. Like, that's what I would do. I'd be like, this is crazy. Like, is your mom making dinner tonight? Like, let's do that. Okay, so is there anything about that you would do differently about just the Jamaica experience?
We have a lot of friends and family that go to Jamaica and stay at a resort. And it is really pretty there. And so I would probably look to have more time on the island. And, I haven't looked into it a lot, so I don't know where exactly I would go, but I think I would research a little bit and then go just spend more time.
Yeah, that's awesome. So whenever we were originally talking about this episode, I was like, I would invite everyone I know. It would be like the whole cruise ship would belong to us, and it would just be like this huge experience with everyone we love. But I always go back to that would be like my dream, not our dream, like, but I do think, so since we've been married, we have learned that your family came from England.
Right. Yeah.
And that there's the Houghton Tower, which is a castle in England that still exists. It's a tourist attraction. People have weddings there. So you guys need to go back to one of our first episodes because we talk about that. That would be my dream wedding now, is literally getting married in a castle, just like I've always joked about all these years. But I would invite everyone that I know, and I would just be like, come. But then I would make sure that we had time to ourselves, because I think that's that nice happy medium that we need for the two of us to both be happy.
Yeah, I would definitely do that too. I think if we could get like friends and family there to do something there, like that would be really awesome.
Yeah, if we could just pay for everyone in the world to just show up.
All we have to do is get rich.
All we have to do is have $1 million. So we know other people. We have some friends who have also done destination weddings. And this episode makes me think of them. Our friends Chad and Sarah, who introduced us to each other.
Yeah, they went to Hawaii, right?
They did. And that was like super eloping, because like
She didn't even know, right?
She knew that they were going to get married. I mean, they were engaged, and like it was
right, they were engaged.
Planning to like get away, but he was kind of planning all the details, and so he basically had worked it out with her work and everybody, and she didn't know. And I don't think that I knew either, because I definitely would have been like the one to
spill the beans.
Yeah.
Like maybe that's why you didn't
dangerous. Know. I'm pretty sure I did not know. But and then like he just like woke her up one morning and was like, okay, pack your bag, let's go, we're going. The flight's at this time.
That's cool.
And they seem to have like such a great time. And then we have friends, one of my old coworkers, Ashley Hill, she is getting married. By the time this episode airs, she will be married. She'll be the new Mrs. Irwin. And they also got married in Jamaica. And then another coworker, Ashley Hudgens. Shout out to Trevor and Ashley. They got married in Mexico right after we did. So
that's right. Yeah, they did. I remember that. Yeah.
Just kind of fun. We want to hear you guys' thoughts on destination weddings. I think it's so interesting to mix travel with this huge day of your life. So tell us, what is the most unique location that you've been to for a wedding? And we just love hearing from you guys. You can reach out to us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube. We're out there.
That's right. And we'll be sharing our wedding photos and all those pics from the beach in Jamaica on those places. And if you would like to learn more about us, you can do that at travelfomopodcast.com.
That's right. And as we wrap up this episode, we also want to remind you, please go out, rate, review, subscribe to the podcast from wherever you're listening. It'll help you get those notifications.
Yep, that will help us out a lot as well. And you can listen to our next episodes where we'll be talking about Grand Cayman and Cozumel, the rest of our honeymoon.
Yeah, it's gonna be the honeymoon. It's fun to talk about too. So, okay, until then, keep living it up because life is short.
Wander well.